My name is Pradeep Natarajn. I work for IBM and I manage the Internet of Things solutions team for the IBM-Informix organization. So the product that I predominantly work with is IBM-Informix. At its core, it's a database server. But as you know, these days, databases are commoditized. Every database does the same thing. It's like a car, you know, telling somebody, what do you make? Well, we make a car is not gonna be enough. But IBM-Informix can do a whole lot more than just being a database. We have a phenomenal number of capabilities built into our product that makes it perfect for the Internet of Things space. Number one, it's extremely fast and proven for many, many years, and it's a very stable product. It's got a very rich history of over 30 years. It's been in the field. And in the Internet of Things space, what makes it perfect for both the gateway and the cloud is that it's got extremely low footprint. It runs on all kinds of edge devices, from the smallest Intel gateway to the ARM-based devices like a Raspberry Pi or a hobby board like a BeagleBone. So it runs on all these different architectures with the smallest configuration possible. And on the cloud, it's got a great number of capabilities which makes it perfect for doing all kinds of scale out and scale up operations.
If you don't mind, let's talk about the cloud just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you're familiar with the database service, cloud database services such as AWS, etc. What is Informix's cloud service, and how does one begin to engage with that?
There's a number of different ways. So if you're looking for database as a service, IBM has the platform called Bluemix, where a number of IBM software are available as a service. So that's where you'll find Informix, and the product, the service itself is called as Time Series Database Service, because time series is one of the core capabilities for our product, and so we want to identify that capability on the Bluemix platform. Outside of the Bluemix platform as a service, if you just want to use the product in your own infrastructure, IBM has SoftLayer, which is the infrastructure as a service, and you can buy the traditional software and bring your own license and install, configure, and tune it as you need for your application. So that's another way of going to the cloud. And you're not really limited to IBM cloud offerings if you just want to use the software. So today, just to enable the developers, we've made the Informix software available as a Docker container. So no matter what your platform is, if you can run Docker, you could run we call it the Innovator Edition, which is for people to try out, and then if it satisfies their needs, they could just move up and go up to the next edition, the higher edition, or they could even buy additional support. So this is like the lowest but commercially usable and free to try edition of the product. So it's available as a Docker container, so you could just download the Docker image and start using it. And you could also go to Amazon Cloud or Azure Cloud or any other cloud offerings, and you could bring your own license of Informix and get it installed and get going.
So many of the startups here in San Diego and Sorrento Valley, whether they're funded or not, are beginning typically with something like a Ruby on Rails environment. Can you tell me how it fits into a RESTful environment, whether that's Ruby on Rails or any of the other variants?
That's a fantastic question, because one of the things we realized over the last year is that we really have to enable the application developers, somebody that's just getting started today. And the biggest problem is that you cannot predict what they're most comfortable in, whether it's Ruby on Rails, Python, Django framework. The web application can be in a number of languages. So what we decided was, you know what? It's an endless cycle if you just start creating driver for every language. And REST is the perfect way to go for web applications. So what we added is called the REST interface to your data. And we have both relational, support for both relational and non-relational data in our database. And all of that data can be accessed through the REST interface. So you just do your get, put, delete methods, and you have access to your entire database through the REST interface.
On the other side of that spectrum, especially when it comes to wearables, where the wearable itself might just be an RF signal, how are you addressing that kind of access?
So when it comes to these wearables and other smaller sensor technologies, a lot of them produce a lot of data. And this data, one thing that's common with all this data is that it's all going to be in some shape or form time-stamped, because you just keep getting data, either at a regular interval or irregular interval, but it's all going to be time-related. So that's what we call as time series data. And Informix has this capability of storing this type of time series data in a very, very efficient manner. So if you compare that to the traditional relational data, we could store that data in about 1/10 of the space. And we don't have to spend too much space on creating indexes, etc. And we have a very efficient way of accessing that data as well. So that is what is really making our product the perfect solution for the Internet of Things space.
Can you tell me a little bit about edge analytics, and in particular how Informix is performing in that need?
Yeah, absolutely. So today, if you look at the Internet of Things is in a very, very early stage. So if you look at a lot of the common applications, people think that, oh, if I have a decision-making ability when the data comes in, that's good enough. It may be the case for small home applications, but still, what is really missing on the edge for analytics is the ability to determine context. So what do I mean by context? So if you tell me today, oh, the temperature right now outside, the air temperature is 70 degrees. Okay, that's just one data point. It doesn't tell me a whole lot. But now if you tell me that yesterday it was 68 and the day before it was 67 and the day before it was 65, now I can connect those dots and form a context, and I can say, oh, maybe this is a rising trend because over the last 5 days the temperature has gone from, say, 60 degrees to 70 degrees. But that is what the context is. So you need not just the current data point, you need the data points before that to determine a trend and understand the context. So that is really what we need on the edge. So you don't just need the current data point and take action on it. It may not always be possible. You want to know what happened before that and before that, at least for a short amount of time, so you can understand the trend and the context. So let's say you're a home alarm system. It just triggered right now. It could be a number of things, and maybe you'll take action on it. But let's say you can determine the context and say, the alarm system has triggered 4 times in the last 2 hours. Now that provides a completely different context for you. So that's what we need on the edge, where you can store that data and take some meaningful decision based on the analysis of that data.
And if you don't mind, can you contrast that to, say, the Hadoop kind of solution? Okay,
absolutely. As you know, the Hadoop solution is really focused on extremely large sets of data, and usually the processing of that data takes some time, and that is why Hadoop type analytics is really suitable for very long-term analytics. So you have data for the last 20 years, then you would use a Hadoop system to do some deep analytics. That's what we call as the tier 4 system. Whereas when you're talking about your wearables and other sensors on the edge, you don't have the luxury of storing 20 years worth of data from, say, a Fitbit. So you're talking about short volumes of data, but at the same time, you have some context. Maybe you have the last 1 month worth of data from your Fitbit. So that's how we differentiate the operational analytics versus the deep tier 4 analytics with technologies like Hadoop.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, and thank you for taking some time to speak with the Silent Intelligence.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.